Li Mingxi. I am from China. You guys let me go. This book is fictional, don't take reality too seriously, thank you. Keywords of the novel. Persuading father to return to China, forced to stay as a chaebol without a pop-up window, persuading father to return to China, forced to stay as a chaebol. Complete collection download of TXT, persuading father to return to China, forced to stay as a chaebol. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. What is this divine skill? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. What is this divine skill? Dirty. Pop. Bang. Ah. After a scream, Li Mingxi lay on the ground with his stomach covered, looking bewildered. I'll go. What is the situation? I was having a spring dream and suddenly got beaten up. He was slapped first and then kicked under the bed. This is even more unjust than the one who was robbed by mob bandits while eating hot pot. Hey. That's not right. Where did the woman come from? Thinking of this, lying on Li Mingxi's back, a carp jumped up and saw a long-haired girl stumble out of the room while wearing clothes. Do you want to leave after finishing the fight? Upon seeing this, Li Mingxi jumped onto the bed without even putting on any clothes, and then jumped onto the opposite ground to chase after him. Normally, his movements were not slow, but when he chased after the door of the room and looked outside, he didn't even see the shadow of the girl. Not far from his room is the elevator, it seems that the girl should have taken the elevator and run away. Continue chasing. He really wants to pursue, but the problem is that he's still naked. Damn it. Damn it. Li Mingxi cursed inwardly, then rubbed his face and stomach and went back to the room. When he returned to the room to put on his clothes and lifted the blanket on the bed to find his underwear, he was instantly stunned. To put it more elegantly, he saw a plum blossom on the bed. To be frank, he saw a blood stain on the bed. This taking someone's chastity from their sleep without a trace. What kind of divine skill is this? Now he understood why the girl stumbled when she ran out just now, and he also understood why he was beaten. I'll go. What exactly happened last night? Dudu, Li Mingxi was about to recall last night when he was interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. Shouldn't that girl bring someone back to kill her? To be on the safe side, Li Mingxi shouted at the door, who is it? Then a familiar voice reached his ear. Brother, it's me, Zhuxuan. Li Mingxi breathed a sigh of relief and then walked to the door to open it. I'll go. Seeing Li Mingxi's naked appearance, Zhuxuan was startled and quickly entered the door to close it. Brother, what's your situation? Although you have a great physique, your abdominal muscles, male dog waist, and your are all quite impressive, but there's no need to show off like this, right? Get out of here. Come and take a look. Li Mingxi is not in the mood to joke with Zhuxuan now, but Zhuxuan is not aware of this yet. So when he heard Li Mingxi's words, he immediately showed a puzzled expression. So should I go or go? Li Mingxi decisively raised his hand and said, don't force me to slap you. I was wrong. Zhuxuan hesitated and quickly walked to Li Mingxi's side. He then followed the direction he pointed out and his eyes lit up instantly. Oh. Brother, you can do it. This will cost a lot of money, right? Me. Li Mingxi couldn't help but slap Zhuxuan on the back of the head. Pop. Take it seriously. Tell me what exactly happened last night. Zhuxuan covered his head with a look of injustice and said, I don't know. Last night, when you got drunk, I sent you back to your room, and then I went back to my own room. Where did this girl come from? How did she enter my room without a room card? Zhuxuan suddenly realized, right. How did she get in? Are you asking me? Li Mingxi raised his hand and wanted to give Zhuxuan another try. Zhuxuan quickly dodged and said, brother, don't worry about this. You should come back to China with me as soon as possible. If that girl calls the police, you may not be able to leave. Scare me. Going back to China with you. Hee hee. Li Mingxi deliberately said nonchalantly, if you can't leave, don't leave. One person does things, and one person is responsible. If someone wants to settle accounts with me, I'll take it for granted. What if that girl is the daughter of a big shot in a certain club? Neon, the underworld is very rampant here. Speaking of which, Cui Shixuan lightly patted Li Mingxi's shoulder and joked, brother, you don't plan to stay here as a son-in-law, do you? Upon hearing these words, Li Mingxi's face darkened and he said, do you want to die? Cui Shixuan immediately put away his smile and bowed solemnly, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Glancing at the goods in silence, Li Mingxi sat in bed and began to dress, then began packing his luggage. Upon seeing this, Cui Shixuan quickly came over to help pack his luggage and was pleasantly surprised, saying, brother, are you planning to come back to China with me? Li Mingxi shook his head and said, go to the front desk to check the surveillance footage first. Cui Shixuan looked surprised and said, oh no. Can't you? Can't you? No one still lives in ancient times and thinks that sleeping is responsible for their girls, right? I'm taking full responsibility. I just want to know who hit me. While I was drunk, he ran into my room and slept with me, and even beat me up. Isn't this bullying an honest person? Getting beaten up. Looking at Li Mingxi's angry expression, Cui Shixuan was taken aback for a moment, then laughed and said, hey. It's really hey, I didn't even see a faint slap mark on your face if you didn't say it. Li Mingxi gave him a sidelong glance and said, if you're here again, giving me a strange and gloating look, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Admitting mistakes at the speed of light to avoid being beaten can be considered a model of being both greedy and playful. Li Mingxi looked at him helplessly, then pulled the suitcase and turned around to walk outside the door. Cui Shixuan quickly caught up and said, brother, there's another question. Why did the hotel show you surveillance footage? Because I lost something in my room. Li Mingxi turned around and gave him a silly look. Oh. Yes. 10 minutes later, the two arrived at the hotel front desk. The reason why it took so long is because Cui Shixuan also had to go back to his room to pack his luggage. Arrived at the front desk, explain your purpose. The front desk quickly called the hotel manager, apologized to them, and then offered to report to the police on their behalf, but Li Mingxi refused. There's no need to call the police. He didn't really lose something, just check the surveillance footage. Last night at 11 o'clock, Li Mingxi and Cui Shixuan stood with each other and staggered back to Li Mingxi's room. 2 minutes later, Cui Shixuan left. After about 10 minutes, a tall girl walked with unrecognizable steps and stumbled towards the door of Li Mingxi's room. The girl has long wavy hair and, as it is summer, she is quite cool to wear. She wears a loose off-the-shoulder short-sleeved T-shirt on top and a pair of denim hot pants with flip-flops on the bottom. Her two long legs are bright and shaky. A lazy and cozy home outfit that exudes a touch of sexiness and purity, exuding a pure desire. The only regret is that the girl wore a pair of oversized toed sunglasses that directly covered half of her face, making it impossible for anyone to tell who it was. However, Li Mingxi still breathed a sigh of relief. Although he couldn't see his face clearly, with these two slender, white and tender long legs, he was not at a disadvantage. In the surveillance footage, the girl stared at the door number for a while, then raised her hand and pushed the door open. The door just opened. Just push it open. Seeing this, Li Mingxi couldn't help but look at Cui Shixuan beside him speechlessly. What did you do? You didn't lock the door for me. This. Cui Shixuan looked embarrassed and started apologizing with a smirk. Li Mingxi waved his hand and continued to monitor the surveillance footage. After the girl entered the room, she stumbled and ran out of Li Mingxi's room just now, still wearing the pair of toed sunglasses on her face. I still can't see my face clearly. Run out of the room, take the elevator, and then leave the hotel directly. After coming out of the surveillance room, Mingxi raised his hand and patted Cui Shixuan's shoulder, saying, "You have a responsibility for this, a great deal of responsibility, so you have to be responsible for finding out who this woman is for me." Cui Shixuan shrugged with a worried expression and said, "Where can I find it? New Han Group has no contact with the major enterprises of Neon. Can you ask them for a favor? At least you are also the security team leader of the president of New Han Group, with no connections at all. You also said that I am just a team leader, and it's okay in South Korea. Who would give me face when it comes to Neon?" Cui Shixuan chuckled bitterly and then touched his chin to analyze. "However, looking at her inconspicuous appearance, I feel like she should be a celebrity." Upon hearing these words, Mingxi couldn't help but sneer and say, "Can celebrities still bleed? Are you teasing me? Perhaps they have just debuted, or do they have the strength themselves or the company? Besides, should we not allow them to keep themselves clean?" That's also true. Then we need to first check which celebrities stayed overnight here last night. Well, go check it out. Cui Shixuan shrugged helplessly and said, "How can we investigate? If we want to investigate, we can only report it to the police. Just say that girls stole your things and let the Neon police find her." Mingxi hesitated for a moment and said, "Isn't it good to accuse someone of stealing something after sleeping? Aren't you the one who was sleeping? Besides, we can't wait until the police find her and help her clarify." Mingxi gave him a sidelong glance and said, "Report to the fake police. Are you trying to make the little devil arrest me?" Cui Shixuan shrugged and said, "That's no use. You can just treat it as a dream. Now that you've woken up from your dream, should you come back to China with me?" The purpose of Cui Shixuan's trip is to persuade Mingxi to return to South Korea with him, so he always brings up this matter whenever there is an opportunity. But he didn't have much hope either. After all, he knew that Mingxi really didn't want to go back to South Korea, let alone agree to that. But to his surprise, just as he finished speaking, Mingxi nodded and said, "Okay, go back to South Korea." Upon hearing this, Cui Shixuan was instantly surprised and said, "Brother, have you figured it out?" Hee hee. Hee hee. I understand your grandfather. I don't have an uncle, you can't get through. Mingxi looked at him speechlessly and said, "Go back and pack your luggage." Hee hee, okay. Subsequently, the two of them returned to their respective rooms. Upon returning, Cui Shixuan did not rush to pack his luggage. Instead, he locked the door and took out his phone to send a text message. "Captain, we'll be boarding the plane soon. Thank you, Officer Cui." Seeing the three words, Officer Choi, Choi Suk-hoon's originally nervous face added a smile, then stomped his foot in the direction of South Korea, saluted solemnly, and whispered, "Loyalty." After finishing the ceremony and deleting the text message, he changed from the solemn and dignified Officer Cui to the playful and smiling Captain Cui. Hee hee, pack your luggage and go back to South Korea. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Xinhan Group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Xinhan Group. Mingxi was originally just one of the general public in China who enjoyed 996 blessings. My ancestral parents passed away early and were raised by my grandparents since childhood. He originally thought of waiting for himself to work, earn more money, and show filial piety to his grandparents, but before he graduated from college, his grandparents passed away one after another. From then on, he became like a celestial ghost in a lonely star, alone and carefree. But life always has to move forward. He still wants to get married and have children, and have his own home. So, work hard. Strive. Let the blessings come more fiercely. So, on a quiet night, while working overtime, he passed away at the age of 25 without paying attention. In theory, if you die, Liao, if you die, it's all for one. But guess what? Yeah, I've traveled. Hey, hey. I'm Hu Han-san back again. After being happy for a while, he felt something was wrong. One reason is that he found himself crossing over into a baby, and the other reason is that the words spoken by the people around him have a strong stick-like smell. Oh my God! Semida. Xiao Shibao. The thief of the universe. Even the intruder stole it. Is this north or south? This house looks magnificent, should it be to the south? If it's to the north. It seems pretty good too, doesn't it? Those who can afford to live in this house in the north definitely hold a high position. But then again, the risk seems quite high. So no matter where it is, it's definitely not as good as my own home. If possible, he still wants to go back to China. That place on both sides of a large river with wide waves and fragrant rice flowers blowing in the wind. Fortunately, it didn't take long for him to understand his situation. There are two pieces of good news. Firstly, he has returned to 1990 from 2025, and with this time difference, he can earn a lot of money. Secondly, although he has worn it to South Korea, he is of Chinese-Korean descent, and in terms of bloodline, he has not worn it like a stick. There are also two pieces of bad news. One is that his mother passed away due to childbirth difficulties. He estimated that the child had also died, which is why his soul occupied the nest. If that's the case, it doesn't seem like bad news for himself either. Another bad news is that his new father, Li Jianrong, is very wealthy and powerful. Although the name Li Jianrong bears a resemblance to Samsung President Li Jianxi, who appears to be from the Jian generation, they actually have little to do with each other. The reason why Li Jianrong has money and power is because he is the president of Xinhan Group. And New Han Group is just its current name. It used to have a name called New Han Faction. Can Li Jianrong, one of the three major clubs in Seoul, not have money and power? Although the New Han Group has been washed away when it comes to the generation of Li Jianrong, Li Mingxi still thinks this is bad news. After all, can being whitewashed be considered a good person? Behind the scenes, those petty things are different and still being done. Before his time traveling, Li Mingxi, although powerless, was a person who remained steadfast and a good person. As a result, now he's dressed like a black boss, this Nima. What a punishment. There is a judgment on this day. Where is the father of the pit? I degree, Li Mingxi couldn't accept this identity. Firstly, he didn't want to live a life full of intrigue and scheming. Secondly, he doesn't want to have any grudges with his conscience. He is an honest person, so he doesn't want to be bullied, nor does he want to bully anyone. I don't want to be harmed, let alone harmed. He just wants to grow up healthy and earn some money, then get married and have children, and live his own little life. In addition, it is important to maintain good health and strive to live several decades longer than in the previous life. As for fighting against black and evil forces, he didn't think it over, but after thinking it over, he felt that his little heart was strong enough to fight against those evil forces, so he decided to pull it down. If you are poor, take care of yourself. Anyway, those people don't go to China to cause trouble. Due to his aversion, he has been particularly solitary since childhood and does not like to get close to people around him. Li Jianrong thought it was because he had no mother since he was young that he was like this, so he loved him even more and responded to every request. So, after graduating from elementary school, Li Mingxi proposed to Li Jianrong to study abroad in China. As expected, Li Jianrong refused on the grounds that he was too young and would wait until he graduated from high school. 3 years later, after Li Mingxi's tireless requests, Li Jianrong finally agreed to let him go to China 3 years earlier. So, after graduating from junior high school, Li Mingxi returned to China as he wished. Accompanying him were 2 confidants of Li Jianrong, a man and a woman, who mainly took care of his life. As for security, there is no need to worry at all. Based on his identity, there will definitely be national security personnel watching wherever he goes. Even if Li Jianrong's enemies want to come to China to deal with Li Mingxi, they must have the courage to do so. In China, his life is very comfortable. Although his nationality is still in the Western Eight Kingdoms, because he is of Chinese descent, mainly because he was a genuine Chinese in his previous life, there is no difference in communication, lifestyle habits, and other aspects compared to those around him. So whether it's classmates, teachers, or neighbors, everyone has no discrimination against him, and even takes good care of him. After graduating from high school, he also became an adult and was able to do business. What kind of business do you do? He really can't come with big business, mainly because he finds it troublesome and tiring. His requirements are not high, and he doesn't think about becoming a big entrepreneur or capitalist. As long as he can achieve financial freedom, that's all. So, relying on his memories from the previous life, he first asked Li Jianrong to help establish an investment company in the mold country, and he invested the money himself. He has money, quite a bit. Because Li Jianrong is the only son like him, he has been without a mother since he was young. In addition, Li Jianrong is always busy with club affairs and doesn't have much time to accompany Li Mingxi, so he thought of giving Li Mingxi more money to compensate him. Pocket money, New Year's money, bonuses for good exam results, and bonuses for further education are all given to Li Mingxi. Anyway, it's just a matter of trying to give money legally. Especially after Li Mingxi arrived in China, Li Jianrong gave him a large sum of money every month. By the time he graduated from high school, he had saved almost 1 billion Korean won, equivalent to nearly 6 million Chinese coins. With this money, he mainly invests in China and the United States, buying and selling stocks and funds, which saves him trouble and makes money. By 2016, after nearly a decade of investment, he now holds stocks of more than 10 Chinese and American listed companies, including Maotai, Penguin, Alibaba Mama, Jingxi, Cho Tuan, NetEase, No Facebook, Little Bluebird, Fruit Mobile, Ruehui, Shinka, etc. His original 1 billion Korean won has now turned into over 4 billion US dollars. Moreover, these stocks will continue to appreciate, and once they are sold at their peak in the future, it should be easy to cash out over $10 billion. In addition, he also has thousands of Terra coins in his hand. The ones he bought for $5 now are worth tens of millions of dollars, and in a few years, he should be able to sell for hundreds of millions of dollars. As for why he only bought a few thousand, it's not that he doesn't want to buy more, but rather that he can't hoard too much of this thing. Because this thing itself is created by capital to make money for oneself, not for you to make money. What if someone discovers that you are hoarding too much on your own and they stop playing? What if they go to speculate on other virtual currencies? Anyway, he is not short of money in this life, there is no need to be too greedy, stability is the most important. Of course, following the principle of not revealing wealth and striving until the end is the winner, no one around him knows that he is now a billionaire. Even those in his investment company, his absolute confidant only knows that he is very wealthy, and the specifics are unclear. Even his biological father Li Jianrong in this lifetime doesn't know how much money he has. The reason why he kept it from Li Jianrong was not because he couldn't trust him, after all, could his biological father still not trust him? He was worried that Li Jianrong would ask him to invest the money in Xinhan Group after knowing he had so much money. With the development of the times, the clubs in South Korea have all been whitewashed one by one, but some are real whitewashed, some are covered in human skin, and black and white are mixed, and the new Han Group is the latter. Gradually, as he grew older, Li Jianrong's thinking underwent some changes. He wanted to completely whitewash the new Han Group and abandon all those messy industries. But in this way, Xinhan Group is equivalent to losing a large amount of income. Will the people below agree? If they want to agree, at least they need to find new profit channels first. Where can I find it? Is it that easy? The project and funds are indispensable. How much funds can Xinhan Group use? How much investment is needed? Anyway, Li Mingxi doesn't want to get involved in this matter. Apart from anything else, even if it's purely from a business perspective, how can he have a higher return on investment when investing in Xinhan Group compared to buying and selling stocks? Even if he sells all his stocks now, billions of dollars is enough for him to eat, drink, and have fun for a lifetime. Of course, there is a saying that if one is poor, they should be self-centered, and if one is successful, they should also benefit the world. He has money and does good deeds, but only in China. In recent years, he has donated more than 30 schools to Hope Elementary School alone. In case of drought or flood, he will also donate money and materials. In addition, a few years ago, vegetables in Shandong province were unsold. He also invested in a vegetable processing plant in several regions through joint ventures with local governments, processing vegetables into kimchi and dehydrated vegetables, and selling them to various parts of the country, as well as South Korea and Neon. The annual revenue is not too much so far, only over 300 million yuan, with 3 small goals. In this way, the income of local farmers has increased, and the government's fiscal revenue and tax revenue have also increased. He has also developed some networks and made some small money, but most importantly, his identity has been whitewashed. He believes that what he has done over the years cannot be concealed from the authorities, and the fact is the same. On the Huaxia side, the government has already proactively contacted him. If it weren't for fear that Li Jianrong would be angry to death, he would have changed his nationality back to Huaxia long ago. When Li Jianrong was young, he left behind many hidden illnesses due to fighting and killing his body. As he grew older, his hidden illnesses gradually became apparent. Coupled with the ravages of various middle-aged and elderly diseases, his body is getting worse and worse as he is now in his 60s. This also raises a question of the heir. Of course, Li Jianrong hopes that his son will take over. Although Xinhan Group is not as big as before, the combined value of various industries is also over trillions of Korean won, equivalent to billions of US dollars, almost catching up with half of Li Mingxi's assets at the moment. Is Li Jianrong willing to give such a large industry to others? So over the years, he has been hoping that Li Mingxi can go back to South Korea, first serve as his deputy, and then slowly take over his position. But Li Mingxi has been busy opening a kimchi factory in China, which has made Li Jianrong very angry. If Li Mingxi were to change his nationality again at this time, he would be completely unable to take on Li Jianrong's position. After all, the head of one of South Korea's well-known large enterprises cannot be a Chinese, right? In this way, Li Jianrong is likely to go underground to meet the ancestors of the old Li family in a fit of anger. In addition to Li Mingxi, Li Jianrong also has a younger brother, Li Zhirong. Well, this product sounds the same as the name of Samsung vice president. Li Zhirong is 10 years younger than Li Jianrong. He is just 46 years old this year and is in his prime. Currently, he serves as the vice president of Xinhan Group, serving as Li Jianrong's deputy. At the same time, he is also the most powerful person within the new Han Group, apart from Li Jianrong, and the biggest obstacle to the complete whitewashing of the new Han Group. He has the ability, but he is a person with a hot temper, a cunning and fierce personality, and the whole thing is that typical, masked image of the underworld. He is in charge of various gray and black industrial chains under the new Han Group. If Xinhan Group is completely washed away, it will directly harm his interests. Can he be willing to do so? It is precisely because Li Zhirong is not a good person that Li Mingxi did not like this second uncle from a young age. The two of them are only superficial uncles and nephews, not at all close. If Li Jianrong's voice is clear and Li Mingxi doesn't go back to take over, then Li Zhirong, as the second person of the new Han Group, can naturally become the new president of the new Han Group. But Li Jianrong didn't want him to take over, not only because of selfishness, but also because of Li Zhirong's temperament. Li Jianrong was worried that the Xinhan Group would be completely defeated in his hands. In fact, besides Li Jianrong, the South Korean government also does not want him to become the president of the new Han Group, because he is too violent. In his hands, the new Han Group may become a complete criminal group, posing a great threat to social security. Compared to Li Zhirong, Li Mingxi is seen as a novice in their eyes, and the threat is much smaller. That's why Pei Zhuxuan came to find Li Mingxi. They are classmates in elementary and middle school. Although Pei Zhuxuan is clearly the security team leader next to Li Jianrong, he is also an undercover agent for the police. It can be said that he has both ability and courage. But when he was a child, Pei Zhuxuan was just a doormat, the kind that anyone could kick. When he was in elementary school, he had just advanced to 3rd grade and was fully immersed in experiencing campus bullying from the higher grades. Li Mingxi passed by and saw it, so he called someone to clean up those little hooligans and saved him. From then on, Pei Zhuxuan became Li Mingxi's follower, always following Li Mingxi's brothers in front and behind. Li Mingxi looked at him pitifully and kept covering him up. Gradually, the two became good friends and good buddies. After Li Mingxi arrived in China, the two of them never cut off contact. Pei Zhuxuan also found opportunities to visit Li Mingxi in China a few times, and when Li Mingxi returned to South Korea from vacation, he would also come to play with him and buy him a gift or something. But during this period, Pei Zhuxuan never knew Li Mingxi's true identity, only knowing that his family was quite wealthy. It was not until he went to the police academy and was selected as an undercover agent that he learned from his superiors that Li Mingxi was originally a prince of the new Han group. Good and evil have been in opposition since ancient times. But that's all nonsense. Societies are certainly evil, but the officials in South Korea may not necessarily be righteous. Otherwise, things like clubs would have been completely eradicated, and there would have been collusion of interests. Speaking of which, it was precisely because of the relationship between Pei Zhuxuan and Li Mingxi that he was sent to the Xinhan group as an undercover agent. Of course, on the surface, he was sentenced to several months in prison for causing disability in a fight at the police academy. After coming out, he couldn't find a job and had no choice but to enter the new Han group through Li Mingxi's connections. This time, he also accepted the dual orders of Li Jianrong and the police, asking him to find a way to take Li Mingxi back to South Korea and persuade him to take over. Li Mingxi went crazy before returning to South Korea to take on that shitty job. If South Korea asks him to go back and establish an anti-gang and anti-evil committee or something, then he may still be interested in going back and killing his family with righteousness. He just wants to be a good person and doesn't want to cause any trouble. However, even if Choi Suk-hoon doesn't come to find him, he will still return to South Korea. Li Jianrong's health is getting worse and he needs to go back and spend more time with him. He came to Neon because his kimchi factory was signing a kimchi purchase and sales agreement with the famous Japanese supermarket chain brand Family Mart. He had originally planned to go to South Korea after signing the agreement yesterday, but when Choi Suk-hoon arrived, they hadn't seen each other for some time. So Li Mingxi didn't rush to leave, but instead went to Tokyo to eat, drink, and have fun with Choi Suk-hoon. Then he drank too much, but was taken advantage of by a drunken woman who slept with him and beat him up. However, he also took one blood, which was not too bad. You originally planned to go back to South Korea. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come. You shouldn't have come originally. If you didn't come, I wouldn't have been beaten up. Get in the car. After giving Pei Zhuxuan a cold glance, Li Mingxi picked up his suitcase and boarded the bus, preparing to fly to South Korea at the airport. Pei Zhuxuan followed closely behind, while a group of girls followed behind him, looking like a group of Neon high school students playing together. A group of people chattered and chatted before getting on the car. It's impossible to take over, it's impossible to take over in this lifetime. Li Mingxi had a plan in mind. Taking advantage of Li Jianrong's poor health, after returning to South Korea this time, he did not wait for Li Jianrong to persuade him to take over. He first advised Li Jianrong to retire and return to China to rest and spend his middle and later years in peace. Thinking about it, Li Mingxi frowned, feeling that these girls were laughing too loudly, which was a bit annoying. But suddenly, something flashed through his mind and he was stunned. Upon seeing this, Pei Zhuxuan quickly asked, "Brother, what's wrong with you?" "Damn it. I remember, when that girl scolded me in the morning for being vulgar," she said Korean. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. I don't like female celebrities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I don't like female celebrities. This person has money and likes to cultivate a sense of character when they have nothing to do. Mastering the languages of the 6 countries, being proficient in every aspect of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and so on. Mingxi is not so exaggerated. In terms of playing chess, calligraphy, and painting, he is not interested in playing chess. Painting is just a matter of luck, but he has learned a few instruments, such as suona, eru, and piano. His favorite is still calligraphy, which is suitable for both regular script, clerical script, seal script, and cursive script. His greatest skill is the slim gold body with a beautiful and elegant appearance. Although the Emperor Huizong of the Great Counselor dynasty was a fallen ruler, his self-created thin golden body was indeed truly beautiful. In addition, in terms of language, he already knows Chinese and obtained an English level 6 certificate in his previous life, but in reality, he is not very good. After being forced to learn Korean through time travel, he gradually learned Japanese in order to do business with the Japanese and enjoy the films and TV shows produced by the Japanese without any obstacles. It was because he was too proficient in Japanese and Korean that he didn't realize at first that the girl in the morning was speaking Korean. It was only when the group of female high school students next to him jokingly said "vulgar" in Japanese just now that he realized it. Upon hearing Mingxi's words, Pei Zhuxuan was somewhat surprised and said, "Korean. That woman is from South Korea. And she could also be a South Korean celebrity. This way, it's much easier to search. I'll go online and check which South Korean actresses have come to Neon these past 2 days." In no time, Pei Zhuxuan found the answer online. BLACKPINK came to Neon yesterday and will hold a fan meeting at Neon today and tomorrow. In the past few days, some members of 2Chi have also come to Neon to shoot posters. The most frustrating thing was last night when I foolishly held a family concert in Tokyo, featuring Bauer, Girls, F.X., and Red Velvet. If you add it up, there are a total of 20 or 30 female idols. So much. Mingxi was somewhat surprised. 30 female idols. South Korea's idols are all running neon lights. Pei Zhuxuan said, "This is just a public itinerary. I don't know how many more there are without a public itinerary." In addition, there were a few female trainees who had not yet debuted but had already been made public at yesterday's foolish family concert. Upon hearing this, Mingxi chose to give up directly. "Forget it, I won't look for it anymore." Pei Zhuxuan nodded, feeling that there was no need to search. Then he handed his phone to Mingxi and said with a smile, "Brother, don't you take a look at their photos. Last night, you probably went to Wushan with one of them." Mingxi pushed his phone back directly and said, "A group of red-pink skeletons, it's okay not to look." Red-pink skeleton. Pei Zhuxuan chuckled and said, "Brother, are you trying to sneak into an empty door or discriminate against female celebrities?" "It's not discrimination, mainly because I don't like them. How chaotic is the entertainment industry in South Korea, how can I tell you?" Indeed, there are quite a few hidden rules, but you can't beat everyone to death with one stick, can you? For example, Terra, if they are willing to accept hidden rules and associate with a big shot, how could they have been blacklisted for so many years? Terra. Mingxi frowned slightly. That name sounds a bit familiar. Of course you are familiar with them. They have been developing in China for the past 2 years, and you should often see news about them in China. Upon hearing these words, Mingxi remembered, "Oh. I remember the girl group who covered Little Apple, right? Yes, it's that group. Which one do you like?" Looking at Pei Zhuxuan's gossipy little eyes, Mingxi said calmly, "I don't like any of them. When these South Korean girl groups dance, they only twist their hips and pout their buttocks, as if they can't sing without touching the edges. It's not subtle at all, and watching too much makes it boring." "Is it boring to watch too much?" You didn't miss it, did you? Pei Zhuxuan secretly confided in Mingxi and expressed his contempt for Mingxi's behavior. But on the surface, he didn't dare to say it. Instead, he nodded and said, I understand. If you like innocent people, you can take a look at a pink. They belong to that kind of pure and sweet style. Look at this, Park Chulong, nicknamed Milk Long. Look at this baby's chubby face, how cute it is. Speaking, he clicked on the photo of Park Chulong on his mobile webpage and showed it to Mingxi. In the photo, Park Chulong has brownish red hair and long flowing hair. She wears a white T-dot shirt with cartoon patterns on her upper body and blue jeans on her lower body. She is facing the camera with scissors, cute, with a round face that looks quite innocent and cute. However, what Mingxi was interested in was not this, but rather a glance at her key area, and then said, does this nickname not live up to its name? She's not that big, how could she be called Nailong? Pei Zhuxuan was taken aback and said, Brother, do you guess this? Milk refers to her being particularly gentle and lovely, as well as her sweet and creamy voice. What? The two looked at each other, and a hint of awkwardness flashed on his face before turning his head to look outside the car window and saying, harmful. It's boring. Upon seeing this, Pei Zhuxuan chuckled inwardly and then leaned over to Mingxi, teasingly explaining, actually, she's not small in scale, it's just that she wasn't captured in this photo. If not, you can search for her other photos to find out. Mingxi pushed him aside and said, that's not exciting either. Is it boring to have a good figure? Pei Zhuxuan pondered for a moment, his eyes suddenly lit up, and then he used his phone to search for a photo of a girl. Then this definitely meets your requirements. Mingxi glanced at the photo and it looked quite nice, but why is his expression so dragging? Who owes her money? Who can I show her with a pulled face? No, Jing Xiujing, the famous goddess of the FX function group, has this kind of personality of an iceberg princess. In fact, she is still very pure and lovely. Iceberg princess. Still pure and cute. Upon hearing these words, Mingxi immediately sneered and said, character design is definitely a character design. The entertainment industry nowadays loves to do this kind of thing. Those who are pure and don't like the fireworks in the world are all golden boys and jade girls, but maybe they will explode with a child at some point. No, she has been a novice for 7 years, and she can stand for so long if it is set up by people. She and her sister Jessica are famous iceberg sisters in the entertainment industry, and their sisters are born with this personality. The key is that they come from a good family background. Their mother used to be a gymnast, their father worked as a boxer when he was young, and now they do business in the country of mold, with a net worth of billions of Korean won. With their personalities and family background, they will definitely not accept unwritten rules, are you sure? Of course, these are sisters' flowers. If they are willing to accept the unspoken rules, they will not be so miserable. How miserable? How miserable is it? My older sister has been banned by the agency and cannot appear in any movies, TV dramas, or variety shows in South Korea. While my younger sister still has activities, there are also some optional activities and cannot access any good resources. My family has money, so if we can't become celebrities, we can just focus on becoming the second generation of wealthy people. They're miserable. They don't have to work 996, nor do they have to worry about their livelihood. This is also tragic. So, there are still people in this world who can't even eat enough. What are they? Mingxi's biggest annoyance is the fans who sell poorly for celebrities and help them sell poorly. Even if they work tirelessly, how much money do they earn? And how much money do workers who work tirelessly for the sake of work earn? Moreover, sometimes the work of celebrities is simply not too easy. You still care about them, who cares about you? Faced with Mingxi's contemptuous gaze, Pei Zhuxuan said helplessly, no, brother. Is this topic a bit far-fetched? What I want to tell you is that even in South Korea's entertainment industry, it is not as dark as you imagine, and there are still many people who are quite clean. In fact, you can try getting close to them, and you will find that they are actually quite cute. Let's pull it down. Mingxi waved his hand impatiently. I have a favorite celebrity, so you don't have to talk nonsense to me. The little black chubby guy and the old couple who smoke, drink, and perm their hair are quite good. I'm not interested in the others. Who is little black fatty? What the hell is smoking, drinking, and scalding? These two people don't sound like any serious people. Pei Zhuxuan was curious in his heart, but the bus had arrived at the station. Mingxi got off the bus carrying a suitcase, and he quickly followed suit. Check in luggage, collect tickets, and obtain boarding passes. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the two of them boarded a flight to Seoul, which would take at least 2.5 hours. The time was quite long, so Choi Suk-hoon wanted to take advantage of this time to persuade Lee Ming-hee to go back and take over the flight. However, there is a problem. Yesterday when they bought tickets, they bought business class tickets, but the seats couldn't be bought together, so they were a bit far away. So when he got on the plane, he planned to change seats with the person next to Lee Mingxi for a while, but after getting on the plane, he only glanced at the woman in the seat next to Lee Mingxi and immediately gave up this idea. It should be her, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Pei Zhuxuan, please follow up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Pei Zhuxuan, please follow up. Pei Zhuxuan, who debuted in August 2014, is the captain of Red Velvet, a female singing group under the DUM, and is known as the #1 beauty of South Korean fourth-generation girl groups. She has a large number of fans and has been praised by the media as a person who can kill all directions with just one face. It's really because of this that she's a little nervous now. Yesterday, a fake chartered plane brought numerous artists from companies including their group to Tokyo, and that night they held their first family concert. Since there is the first one, there will naturally be the second one. The second round will take place tonight. But because KBS TV suddenly notified her today that she needed to urgently record a special program for the hit song program Music Bank, as one of the current hosts of the program, she had to bring an assistant to the airport to buy tickets back to South Korea. The role of an assistant is to provide her with companionship and care on the way, but by the time they arrive at the airport, the first-class tickets for the corresponding flight have already been sold out, and there are no 2 seats adjacent to the business class tickets. But she can't go to economy class, not because she thinks the conditions are poor, but mainly because the company doesn't allow it. Many people in economy class have mixed eyes. Who knows what will happen if they are recognized by fans? Especially for illegitimate meals, it can be very dangerous. More than one senior was once injured by illegitimate food. She had no choice but to buy 2 business class tickets. There's nothing we can do if the seats are not together, we can only wait on the plane to see if we can change seats with others. After getting on the plane, Pei Zhuxuan had just sat down for a while when a man walked over and sat down next to her. This man is naturally Lee Mingxi. Lee Mingxi drank too much last night and was woken up by someone before sleeping enough in the morning. Later, he didn't have breakfast, and now he's not very hungry either. His head is a bit groggy and uncomfortable. So after sitting down, he put on his headphones and listened to soothing music, ready to take a nap. He didn't pay attention and didn't care who the person next to him was. But as soon as he leaned back in the chair and closed his eyes, he felt as if there was a gaze staring at him. Turning his head to look, he realized that a girl sitting next to him, wearing a duckbill cap and sunglasses, was staring at him. He also saw the girl holding a suitcase in her hand. Do you need help? Pei Zhuxuan was a bit socially anxious and worried about being recognized. She was struggling with how to ask the boy next to her to sit with her assistant. When Lee Mingxi asked, speaking Korean, she quickly nodded and said, "Thank you. You are welcome." Just now, Lee Mingxi thought that since she is currently on a flight to South Korea, even if she is not from South Korea, she should probably understand some Korean. Now it seems that his idea is correct. After nodding at Pei Zhuxuan with a polite smile, Mingxi stood up and lifted Pei Zhuxuan's suitcase onto the luggage rack above. What? Pei Zhuxuan was dumbfounded, as the development of the matter was completely different from what she had imagined. Equal smiley face looking at her, it seemed like she was in a daze. Mingxi, who had put away his suitcase, lowered his head to see what he was wearing. After confirming that there was no problem, he looked up and asked, feeling a bit strange, "What's wrong?" "No, thank you." Ouch. Realizing that she was being impolite, Pei Zhuxuan hurriedly shook her head, stood up, and bowed to Mingxi to thank her. The plane was already not very spacious, and Mingxi stood next to her. She suddenly stood up and bowed deeply. Mingxi didn't have time to dodge. Bang. A head hammer hit Mingxi's chest. Ming remained motionless and rubbed his chest, thinking to himself, this big head is quite powerful. Pei Zhuxuan was bounced back into her seat and stunned. Is it so elastic? How do you feel like it's even better than mine? No. We need to apologize quickly. I'm sorry, Mingxi felt that the girl was panicked and wearing big sunglasses. It might be the first time she was flying alone, and she was a bit nervous. Either it's social anxiety. So before she could finish speaking, Mingxi waved his hand and smiled, saying, "It's okay, don't be so nervous. Do you want to listen to the nursery rhyme and relax?" Speaking, Mingxi took off his wired earphones and handed them to Pei Zhuxuan. Pei Zhuxuan hesitated for a moment, feeling that she shouldn't have taken the earphones, but she accidentally brought them over and nodded awkwardly, "Thank you." "You are welcome." With a smile and a wave of his hand, Mingxi sat back in his seat, fastened his seatbelt, and leaned against the back of the chair, closing his eyes. Wait for the plane to take off before folding down the seat back. Pei Zhuxuan lowered her head and glanced at the earphones in her hand, then took out her phone and plugged it in. She chose a piano piece called "Walking in the Rain," put on her earphones, and clicked to play. Listening to the beautiful and gentle music, she turned her head to look at Mingxi and carefully examined the boy next to her. Clear facial features, handsome, tall and powerful, with a sunny and gentle smile. At this moment, Mingxi suddenly opened his eyes and looked at her. "Miss, have you been staring at me again?" I. Pei Zhuxuan panicked and brainstormed a reason. She quickly took off her left earphone and handed it to Mingxi on her right, saying weakly, "Do you want to listen to music together?" Okay, thank you." Originally, Mingxi needed to listen to music to sleep, so after a moment of hesitation, he took the earphones and stuffed them into his left ear, then whispered to Pei Zhuxuan, "Good afternoon." Good afternoon." It's not noon yet, and Pei Zhuxuan was stunned for a moment. Then she understood that the reason why the boy said good afternoon to her was probably because he didn't want to be disturbed anymore. So she quickly lowered her head and pretended to play with her phone. No one disturbed him this time. Mingxi closed his eyes and fell asleep in no time, not even waking him up from the airplane broadcast. He fell asleep, while Pei Zhuxuan felt something was wrong. Can people feel it even when they see it? Is it so sensitive? Or perhaps, would he have been secretly observing me all along? Did he intentionally open his eyes and tease me just now? Can this guy already recognize me? Will he recognize me from the beginning? That's why he helped me carry my luggage and gave me headphones. So, can I be considered approached? Means. Everything is a means of picking up girls. Men nowadays are so cunning. Thinking of this, Pei Zhuxuan angrily took off her earphones and wanted to return them. Then she heard, "Ha ha ha ha," it's the faint snoring sound from the boy next to him. "Are you asleep?" Seeing Mingxi's mouth slightly open and leaning on the seat, she was truly asleep, and Pei Zhuxuan's pretty face added a touch of blush. Awkward. He really fell asleep, which means he really wants to rest. So he is really sensitive to the gaze of others. He probably just wanted to help me just now, and only gave me headphones to listen to music when I was nervous, right? So it seems that he is really quite gentle, while I am a bit presumptuous. While thinking, Pei Zhuxuan secretly scrutinized Mingxi. But I dare not watch it for a long time, afraid of being felt by Mingxi. So she looked around and quickly turned her head to look elsewhere. After a while, she couldn't help but curiously start looking at Mingxi again. After a while, she quickly looked elsewhere, played with her phone, or found some soothing, gentle, and peaceful songs to play. At the same time, the assistants located in the 2 rows of seats behind them suddenly felt a sense of crisis. What is Aaron Oni doing? Didn't it be agreed to change seats? Why are you still listening to the song with that man? And occasionally sneaking a glance at that man. Ernie, you don't mean to see the color and feel the spring breeze, do you? You are still in the forbidden period of love. Hey. Sigma degree, the assistant felt that he couldn't continue like this anymore, so he quickly looked at the man beside him and politely said with a smile, "Hello sir, may I trouble you to change seats?" Pei Zhuxuan felt very satisfied when he saw the 2 of them start listening to music using the same headphones so quickly. Upon hearing assistant Pei Zhuxuan's words, he turned his head to look at the assistant and asked, "With you?" The assistant shook her head and pointed to Pei Zhuxuan in front of her, saying, "Follow her." Upon hearing these words, Pei Zhuxuan roughly understood who the girl next to him was, and immediately closed his eyes and lay back, saying, "Sorry, I need to rest now. Don't disturb me." What a great opportunity. If Pei Zhuxuan can get along with her brother, won't he be able to stay in South Korea? Even if that woman is not Pei Zhuxuan, it would be a good thing if he could meet a relationship. So, changing seats. Change your butt. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Not big, not small. Seeking follow. Up reading. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Not big, not small. Seeking follow. Up reading. At November 30th, noon Seoul time, a Boeing 787 aircraft parked smoothly on the apron of Incheon Airport. Mingxi woke up and took a cold breath. After sleeping for over 2 hours, I feel a bit down and my neck hurts. He was about to raise his hand and rub his neck when he suddenly felt a slight sensation on his shoulder, and then a voice came from his ear. A slightly painful moan, little milk voice, very cute. Turning her head, it was no surprise that the girl next to her also woke up. Previously, Pei Zhuxuan leaned on Mingxi's shoulder and fell asleep, with her neck tilted and a bit of a pillow. Seeing that Mingxi was also sleeping on the pillow like herself, Pei Zhuxuan rubbed her neck and let out a puff. With a slightly red face, she smiled and said, "I'm sorry, sleeping on your shoulder has made you feel tired." Mingxi rubbed his neck and didn't say a word. He thought to himself, "Your spicy head is really tiring me." Seeing him nod rudely, Pei Zhuxuan pouted slightly and gave him a coquettish look. Of course, due to the sunglasses blocking it, Mingxi did not see it. But he didn't feel in the mood to watch either, because now the passengers are all getting off the plane, and he should also leave. Stand up and help Pei Zhuxuan take off her suitcase, say goodbye to her, and then Mingxi turns around and leaves. Seeing this, Pei Zhuxuan hurriedly said, "You haven't taken your earphones yet." When the 2 of them woke up just now, their earphones had already fallen off their ears, and coupled with the fact that their minds were still unclear after waking up, Mingxi didn't remember about this matter. Being stopped by Pei Zhuxuan, he quickly stopped and then turned back to get his headphones. Pei Zhuxuan didn't return the earphones to him, but asked curiously and inexplicably, "Aren't you planning to exchange contact information with me? Men are rich, and it's impossible not to touch women, even if they don't become bad." Mingxi also had many girlfriends a few years ago, but he hasn't dated them again in the past 2 years. Why? It's not that he can't do it anymore, but that he finds it a bit difficult to find true love. Although in people's eyes he is just a kimchi factory owner, as the owner of a kimchi factory with annual sales exceeding 300 million yuan, he is already one of the few wealthy people. The key is that he is young. Youth brings wealth. To outsiders, he is a promising young entrepreneur. So, among the girls who fell in love with him, there was a portion that came with money for him, and another portion that belonged to someone with a different personality. After talking to him many times, he is still single in the end. However, love still needs to be discussed sooner or later, but first find someone who is pleasing to the eye, and then understand their temperament before discussing. But it's okay for someone like Big Head to approach him proactively. Previously, Big Head had been staring at him, but later he rested his head on his shoulder. This may be because he was attracted to his body when he saw him. Boys must protect themselves outside. Of course, refusing directly seemed a bit impolite, so he smiled and replied, "If it's fate, let's do it next time." Rejected. Pei Zhuxuan was somewhat surprised and dissatisfied. Anyway, she is also a beautiful woman, even though she didn't show her face. But she took the initiative to exchange contact information with the other party, but was actually rejected, which is too shameful. With this in mind, she hid the earphones that were supposed to be returned to Mingxi behind her and said, "Then I'll listen to you. If fate permits, I'll return these earphones to you next time." Hey. Ah. Trying to chat up doesn't make it easy to grab my earphones, right? Mingxi was a bit surprised, and then carefully looked at her from beginning to end. Finally, his gaze was fixed on the hat on her brain bag, a black duckbill hat. Most importantly, this hat belonged to Gucci and was more valuable than his headphones. It's just enough to make it. Okay, then I'll give you this hat back next time. As he spoke, he took off his hat from Pei Zhuxuan's head and put it on his own, then exclaimed in surprise, "Oh." Pei Zhuxuan was originally a bit panicked when her hat was taken off because she was afraid of being recognized, but when she heard Mingxi let out a growl, her face immediately darkened and she said, "What do you want to say?" Mingxi smiled slightly and blinked at her, saying, "You understand." "I don't understand." Pei Zhuxuan reached out to grab the hat back, but Mingxi dodged and pressed her shoulder to let her sit back in her seat. "I want to say, someone is not big, their head is not small yet." Ah. Pei Zhuxuan went crazy, and Mingxi turned around and ran, ha ha ha. Goodbye. Pei Zhuxuan was burdened by a suitcase and couldn't catch up. She could only stomp her foot in anger and shout at Mingxi, "Oh. Don't let me catch you next time." Mingxi waved his hand without looking back and ran away gracefully. Later, the assistant came over and whispered to Pei Zhuxuan by the arm, "Aranoni, stop shouting, otherwise it will be troublesome to be recognized later. Also, your love ban has not expired yet, so be sure to pay attention." Pei Zhuxuan was in a fit of anger, and the assistant was hitting the muzzle. Pei Zhuxuan raised her hand and flicked her assistant's brain, causing her to burst. Then she angrily said, "I'll pay attention to your size. I'll be in love with that guy. Your worries are too much." Oh. On the other side, Pei Zhuxuan got off the plane earlier than Mingxi and waited under the gangway. Seeing that Mingxi had a black duckbill cap on his head, he was stunned for a moment. After realizing that it was Pei Zhuxuan's hat, his eyes lit up and he spoke with some surprise, "Brother, can you exchange love tokens with people so quickly? I'll give you a big head." It was she who refused to give me my headphones, so I took her hat to offset the debt. I'm not at a loss, my headphones only cost over 100 Chinese dollars, and this Gucci hat is worth 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, making a small profit. Are you just happy about this? Pei Zhuxuan was taken aback, unable to understand Mingxi's brain circuits. Not entirely. Mingxi shook his head and then told Pei Zhuxuan what had just happened on the plane. I said she has a big brain. It's a bit damaging, but it's also true. She is less than 1.6 meters tall and still a girl, while I am a man, over 1.8 meters tall. But she wears a suitable hat and I actually wear it too. It's not too much to call her big head, right? What can Zhuxuan say? He is also very helpless. You can say whatever you say. But when I created an opportunity for you to meet beautiful women, how could you make fun of them? Exchange something, you should still do it as a business. Is this really good? Brother, can you really find a girlfriend with such straightforwardness? Of course, he dare not say these words out loud, afraid of being beaten. Brother, don't you think this is just a chance encounter? You didn't think about using it to develop a relationship. Mingxi immediately put away his smile and shook his head with a serious expression, saying, "Women, it only affects the speed at which I draw my sword." Zhuxuan endured it hard before rolling his eyes and then leaned over to Mingxi, teasing him, "Are you only concerned about your knife and ignoring your gun? It's been a while since it opened. It's almost rusty, right? Haha. Get lost. Can't I find someone who truly loves me?" Mingxi kicked over and Zhuxuan dodged with a playful smile, then the two of them boarded the shuttle bus together. After finding an empty seat to sit down, Zhuxuan said to Mingxi, "How can there be love these days? Princess Samsung, Li Fuzhen, once married her bodyguard and said she was married to love, but now she's also getting divorced. The bodyguard also needs to share half of her wealth. Sigh, it's really tragic. What a tragedy." Upon hearing this, Mingxi sneered and said, "What a pity. Do you really think she married that bodyguard because of love? The domineering female CEO with a romantic mind is only found in novels. Isn't it because she married a bodyguard that she didn't want to become a tool for the Li family to marry other tycoons? Married to a bodyguard, she is still the princess of the Li family and can serve as the president of the Ibao Park and Silla Hotel. But if she were to marry a tycoon, she would be a tool. Will Li Jianxi still let her interfere in the Li family's business? Isn't the experience of her aunt Li Shuxi a lesson from the past? Back then." Upon hearing this, Zhuxuan quickly covered Mingxi's mouth and whispered, "Brother, don't say anything more, be careful not to bring trouble out of your mouth." Mingxi glanced at the people around him, who were on the phone, resting on a small table, chatting, and listening to music. No one was watching them at all, and their voices were not very loud. If others didn't listen carefully, they probably wouldn't be able to hear what they were talking about. So seeing Zhuxuan's somewhat nervous expression, Mingxi pushed his hand aside and said silently, "Li Fu really can't be here, as for what? Besides, there are many people discussing her online, so I'm guilty just by saying it. Online and offline are different. When you say online, who knows who you are? Besides, there are too many people online, and they can't find out. But when you say here, what if there are people from Samsung around here? What if someone hears and remembers you? If you're not afraid of 10,000, just be careful." That's right. As the saying goes, what Zhuxuan is actually worried about is that Mingxi's identity is special now. Can the police arrange for him to approach Mingxi, so other forces won't send people to approach and track Mingxi? Not afraid of 10,000, afraid of just in case, what if? How to say it online, the Li family may not care, but if this is said from Mingxi's mouth, they will still know it. Isn't this bound to offend people? In Choi Suk-hoon's view, people say that South Korea, also known as the three-star country, is not entirely joking. Although the reputation of chaebols in South Korea has been deteriorating in recent years, it does not hinder their power and influence at all. The Li family of Samsung has immense power in this 1 acre and 3 fun land. Although Mingxi is the son of Li Jianrong, even if the Li family really heard his words just now, they wouldn't do anything to him, but they would definitely be angry and even hold a grudge against him. Zhuxuan still wants Mingxi to take over the new Han group, offending the Li family at this time is not a good thing. Seeing his cautious attitude, Li Mingxi looked contemptuous and then said nonchalantly, "Anyway, I won't be back in China for a few days. Even if Li Fu really hears her, what can he do to me? Besides, if Samsung were to be so critical, would Li Zirong still be sentenced to imprisonment?" After speaking, Li Mingxi no longer had the interest to continue talking nonsense. If you don't say it, just don't say it. Listen to the nursery rhyme. Wipe. The earphones were taken away by the brain bag. In no time, the shuttle bus arrived outside the airport lobby, and the two of them got off to pick up their luggage. The woman who had been resting on the small table behind them sat up. This person didn't rush to get off the car, but took out his phone and slapped Li Mingxi and the other two outside the window. Due to her hat, sunglasses, and mask, she couldn't see her face, but people next to her could feel her emitting a cold breath, so much so that the shuttle bus driver didn't dare to urge her to get off. Until Li Mingxi and his team entered the airport lobby, they took about a dozen or so photos. Then, photos of the woman were posted. "Check the information of these two people for me, hurry up." "Yes." After sending the message, the woman looked out the window with a slight sneer on her lips. "Ha! Returning to Huaxiao. Can you still leave? Thank you for Euphoria Cree's 2000 starting coins, bow." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I like ladies from wealthy families, seeking reading and voting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I like ladies from wealthy families, seeking reading and voting. After picking up their luggage, Li Mingxi and the other two walked out of the airport with their luggage. Then they saw a bunch of reporters standing outside the airport, about 40 or 50, holding long guns and short cannons, eagerly waiting for something. Seeing this, Li Mingxi couldn't help but be a little surprised. With so many reporters coming, is there a big star coming? Pei Zhuxuan also had some doubts on the side. "I'm not sure, I haven't heard of any big stars coming back to Seoul today." Harmful. Mind him, love whoever you want, it's nothing to do with us. Withdraw. Without taking 2 steps, they saw 2 acquaintances. 2 people came to pick up the plane, one in front and the other in the back. The one in front was about 20 years old, good-looking, wearing glasses and looking gentle, like a good person. The one behind him is tall and dark-skinned, aged around 45 years old, with a face full of flesh and a prickly beard, giving off a bit of a leopard-like aura that is not easy to provoke at first glance. Seeing the 2 people, Pei Zhuxuan quickly bowed and said, "Hello Assistant Li, hello Uncle Jean." The refined young man didn't even glance at Pei Zhuxuan and quickly walked up to Li Mingxi, giving him a warm hug and saying, Brother, welcome home." Li Mingxi's second uncle Li Zirong's assistant, is also Li Zirong's only son. This young man, like his father, is not a good person. He is cunning and a typical literary scumbag, just like Li Mingxi. They are 5 years apart, and Li Mingxi once wanted to teach his cousin how to learn well. However, because he was particularly solitary when he was a child, Li Zirong did not want Li Mingxi to have more contact with him, so Li Mingxi was trained to be what he is now. As Li Zirong's deputy, Li Mingxi's sins may not be much less than his father's. As for why Li Mingxi came to pick him up and showed such enthusiasm towards Li Mingxi, it can only be said that if something goes wrong, there must be a demon. Li Mingxi was secretly wary in his heart, but on the surface, he also hugged Li Mingxi and asked with a smile, "Mingxi, why did you come in person? The company is not busy." Li Mingxi smiled and replied, "What's so important about you in the company? My dad heard that you're back today and specifically instructed me to come and pick you up in person." "Oh. Really? Could you please go back and thank Uncle Air for me?" The two have been apparent nephews and uncles for over 20 years, and now Li Zirong suddenly remembers being close to his eldest nephew. He. Li Mingxi noticed the sarcasm in Li Mingxi's words and sneered, then leaned in his ear and whispered, "Brother, there have been rumors both inside and outside the group that uncle is not in good health, so I plan to pass on his position to you soon. My father, the second in command of the group, is dissatisfied with this and wants to send someone to deal with you. Speaking of which, Mingxi paused for a moment and then took Mingxi's hand and said sternly, "Brother, although my dad is not a good person and doesn't have much closeness to you, he values loyalty and righteousness when he comes out. He's not Zhu Di, and he can't do anything to snatch his nephew's seat. He sent me to pick him up just to ask me to forward these words to you. Don't believe anyone else's nonsense." Oh. This statement is true and sincere. If it weren't for knowing the virtues of your father and son, would have believed it. Still loyal and righteous. Damn it. Li Zirong said he was loyal and righteous, and told Pan Jinlian that his chastity was a truth. Note. Refers specifically to Pan Jinlian in Water Margin and Plum in the Golden Vase. Of course, this statement cannot be expressed openly. Mingxi gently broke away from Mingxi's hand and patted his shoulder with a smile, saying, "Uncle Heir is too worried. I have been living well in China and don't want to go back to South Korea to live. As for the business of Xinhan Group, I have never been in contact with it, and I don't want to be in contact with it. Taking it over rashly will not benefit me or the group." Mingxi looked at Mingxi with some surprise, and then sighed helplessly. "You can tell uncle this, he won't agree." Upon seeing this, Mingxi smiled and didn't say anything more. Then, his gaze turned to the bully behind Mingxi and he hugged him, smiling and saying, "Uncle Jean, are you okay?" "Ha, I'm in great health. Thank you for your concern, young master. The president has sent me to pick you up and take you home. Let's get on the bus." Upon hearing the words, "young master," Mingxi frowned slightly. He was very disgusted with the title, which was from a certain era, even young master and old master. So he pretended to be unhappy and said, "What young master? Didn't you say it several times? Uncle Jean, just call me Mingxi." Upon hearing these words, the ferocious Uncle Jean grinned with a simple smile and quickly waved his hand, saying, "No, it's not appropriate to be polite. Those who come out to work must pay attention to their social status and not forget what they are based on their age and seniority." Ha! As he spoke, he even glanced at Mingxi intentionally or unintentionally. "Hey! Old thing! Who are you scolding?" Mingxi's anger surged in an instant, and a hint of gloom flashed on his face. However, he quickly accompanied him with a smile, pretending not to recognize that Uncle Jean was pointing fingers and cursing. Seeing this, Pei Zhuxuan almost burst out laughing, and Mingxi was also feeling relieved. He couldn't help but burst out laughing and then said to Uncle Jean, "How could there be so much courtesy? Wherever you go, you are my uncle." Ha! All right. Come on, Mingxi, Zhuxuan, get in the car. After readily responding, Uncle Jean greeted Mingxi and Pei Zhuxuan to get on the car, ignoring Mingxi. What can Mingxi do? Although he is the son of Li Zirong and holds a high position in the Xinhan group, he really dares not provoke Jin Zhiyu. Because Jin Zhiyu appeared as the assistant to the president of Xinhan group, mainly responsible for Li Jianrong's security work, but in reality, he was not only Li Jianrong's bodyguard captain, but also in charge of one of the most elite armed forces of Xinhan group. Pei Zhuxuan is one of his team leaders. As for why the relationship between Mingxi and Jin Zhiyu is so good, it is not only because he is Li Jianrong's son, but also because Jin Zhiyu has been with Li Jianrong for 20 years, of which the first 8 years were actually responsible for Mingxi's safety. However, due to Mingxi's previous lack of contact with people from the new Han faction, especially Jin Zhiyu, who was also ferocious, Mingxi had little contact with him. It wasn't until Mingxi went to China that Li Jianrong told him that there were 3 attempts to kidnap him in the past 8 years, all of which were taken care of by Jin Zhiyu and his people. This is equivalent to saving him 3 times. Although this is where Jin Zhiyu's responsibility lies, no matter what, Li Ming really recognizes the life-saving kindness. So over the years, every time Li Mingxi returned from China, he would bring some gifts to Jin Zhiyu, and their relationship gradually became closer. This also deepened his understanding of Jin Zhiyu and made him realize that not every member of the organization is unforgivable. At least a small number of people have taken this path because of necessity. For example, Jin Zhiyu, 20 years ago, he was originally a free combat coach. Although young, he was very skilled in fighting and had a small reputation in the community. Because he wanted to earn more money to buy a house and marry a wife, he taught martial arts while playing underground boxing. But due to his ability to fight, a big shot gambler at the time lost a lot of money, so he was chased by that big shot. It was Li Jianrong who spared his talent and stepped forward to save his life. Since then, he has been hanging out with Li Jianrong. But he himself, like Li Mingxi, doesn't want to get involved in the dark, but he can't help but repay his life-saving kindness, so he asked Li Jianrong if he could only be a bodyguard and not participate in other things. Li Jianrong agreed and then sent him to Li Mingxi's side. At first, he was just an ordinary bodyguard, but gradually the team leader, and team leader rose to their current position step by step. After learning about these, Li Mingxi suddenly realized that sometimes people are involuntary. If there were any options, Jin Zhiyu would definitely not want to have any connection with the club, but he had no choice. If Li Jianrong saved him, he would have to repay the kindness. But most importantly, he needs the protection of Li Jianrong. If it weren't for Li Jianrong covering him, he would sooner or later be killed by the big shot who chased him. Of course, he can also report to the police, but it's not certain who the South Korean police will arrest at that time. Jin Zhiyu is involuntary, and Li Mingxi is also involuntary. If someone chooses him, they will not travel to South Korea. Even if one travels through a poor mountain valley in China and becomes a poor generation, it is still stronger than the black second generation dressed in South Korea. With the identity of a traveler, how could one think of a way to lead the villagers to become rich? Speaking of which, how many people in the new Han group are forced to join this industry? This is a question worth pondering and also a question worth delving into. If possible, Li Mingxi actually wants to take them on the right path. Love is four walls, mirror mirror, love is four walls. Li Mingxi's thoughts were suddenly pulled back to reality by a burst of singing. Uncle Jin, what kind of song is this? Jin Zhiyu turned his head to look at the control screen and replied, it's called Four Walls, sung by F.X. Actually, I'm not very familiar with it. The president asked people to download some popular songs from the internet, and it sounds good. F.X. Li Mingxi frowned slightly, listening a bit familiar. Upon seeing this, Li Mingxi curiously asked, the function group is also quite popular in China, haven't you heard of it, brother? There is also a member of it who is from China. Who? Upon hearing that the members were from China, Li Mingxi became interested. Song Qian. She's the captain and has a particularly good relationship with Zheng Xiujing. Zheng Xiujing. The one whose sister was banned. Yes, she is. Are you interested in their sister's flowers? Look at your lewd appearance. Li Mingxi's heart was filled with contempt, and he shook his head and said, I'm not interested. I prefer ladies from wealthy families. Unfortunately, the other three people in the car didn't listen to talk and thought he was really interested in the ladies of wealthy families. Half an hour later, Jin Zhiyu drove the car into the territory where the advertisement was placed. It was over 20 minutes before they arrived at a villa area located in Hanan Cave, Longshan district. Mingxi, hurry in. The president is waiting for you to have lunch. Wait a moment, Uncle Jin, I brought you some gifts from Huaxiao. Take them. Speaking, Li Mingxi got off the car and took out a backpack from the suitcase, handing it to Jin Zhiyu. Then he bid farewell to the three of them and walked into the villa door alone. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. This place of peace of mind is my hometown, seeking follow. Up reading, seeking votes. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 7. This place of peace of mind is my hometown, seeking follow. Up reading, seeking votes, a quiet room, a furnace of incense, dressed in Tang attire, and a pen. When Li Mingxi saw Li Jianrong, he was copying calligraphy in his study. To be honest, at that moment, Li Mingxi felt a bit dazed. Li Jianrong, the underground king of South Korea, used to be a powerful man, but now. His hair is gray, his figure is a bit hunched, and his exposed forearms show that his muscles are now loose and sagging. The key is that he is still dressed in Tang attire, holding a brush in his hand while writing calligraphy. What kind of club leader is this? Living out of the style of a traditional Chinese artist. You have become a cultured person. What made him like this? Is it because one is getting older and learning to be vulgar? Or is it because of illness and pain, learning to cultivate oneself and cultivate one's character? Seeing Li Mingxi staring blankly at him at the door, Li Jianrong laughed and cursed, "Bastard, what are you looking at? I don't know your father anymore. What's in your hand?" "Oh, ginseng tea." Li Mingxi regained his senses and walked over to Li Jianrong with his ginseng in his hand. "I have brought back a few hundred-year-old wild ginseng from China. Although the effects of these ginseng are not as evil as they are said to be, they are true for nourishing qi and blood, and are good for your health. Have you been doing well lately?" Li Jianrong smiled indifferently and said, "It's still like that. Every 10.5 days, I have to get my blood transfusion back. I'm used to it. Let's not mention this anymore, let's see how well I write my calligraphy." A year ago, Li Jianrong fainted during a company meeting and went to the hospital for a check. Up. He was diagnosed with severe anemia, so he needed blood transfusion treatment. Since then, Li Jianrong's physical condition can be said to have rapidly declined, from just being in poor health to now having poor health and aging at a faster pace. Although he was only a 50-year-old man, he looked like a 70-year-old man. Anyway, he is also Li Mingxi's biological father in this lifetime. Seeing him like this, Li Mingxi feels quite uncomfortable in his heart. Upon seeing this, Li Jianrong's heart warmed and he raised his hand to slap Li Mingxi on the back of the head, saying, "What are you fooling around with? Speak up. Are the words your father and I wrote so indescribable?" Li Mingxi snapped back to his senses and quickly said, No, Dad, what you wrote in this character is quite reminiscent of the charm of Zhang Su and Huai Su. Well, that's pretty much the same. Li Jianrong nodded proudly and then paused. Hey. Isn't that right? Aren't Zhang Su and Huai Su the grass sages? Li Mingxi nodded solemnly and said, Yes. Li Jianrong was furious and said, Damn it. Your father and I are facing the authentic Okai, you gong gong bei tai. Do you think I wrote it like cursive script? Li Mingxi quickly gave him 2 thumbs up and said, Can you write regular script in cursive script? Doesn't that make you look exceptionally skilled? I'm sorry. Staring at his own son, Li Jianrong picked up his tea and sat on the chair with a snort, taking a sip. He couldn't help but say, You really can harm your father. I'm not good at writing. You write. I'll see if you write one. Okay. Li Mingxi nodded, picked up a brush and dipped it in ink, but did not change the paper. He directly wrote 4 words in the blank space with a brush. Fallen leaves return to their roots. Li Jianrong was taken aback for a moment, then nodded and smiled, Not bad, not bad. My son's thin gold body is written with strength, and full of luxury. Li Mingxi let out a sigh and turned his head to look at his father sincerely, saying, Dad, you've been tinkering for decades, and you should be tired. Come back with me. I'm also at the age of getting married, you need to help me keep an eye on it. After getting married, I will give birth to a grandson and granddaughter for you, and you will also enjoy the pleasure of indulging in grandchildren. Isn't it happier than being constantly scheming and fighting? Upon hearing these words, Li Jianrong was somewhat moved, but still shook his head slightly. He reached out to take the brush from Mingxi's hand and smiled, saying, "You wrote quite well, but as an old man, I can't be compared to your son. Let me write one for you." As he spoke, he wrote 7 big characters with "wild grass" next to "fallen leaves returning to their roots." "This peaceful place is my hometown." After finishing writing, he casually threw the brush aside and drank the ginseng tea in one gulp. As a result, I choked and coughed because I drank too much. Cough cough. Mingxi quickly supported his arm and patted his back, saying, "Drink slowly." Quickly, Li Jianrong calmed down and waved his hand, saying with a smile, "It's okay. Huh, it's been a lifetime, that's all. I'm not used to it yet. Let's go eat." Mingxi sighed in his heart and nodded with a forced smile on the surface. Subsequently, the two of them went to the restaurant for lunch, and no one mentioned asking each other to stay or taking them away. In the next 2 days, Mingxi was responsible for Li Jianrong's daily life. When Mingxi has free time, he will cupping and massaging Li Jianxi. Anyway, all the health preservation techniques he has learned over the years have been applied to Li Jianrong. Being served by his son like this, Li Jianrong enjoyed both his body and mind. After taking a lunch break that day, Mingxi prepared to brew a cup of ginseng tea for Li Jianrong as usual. He could go out and see his nanny standing outside the door. "Aunt Chui, are you waiting for me?" "Yes, young master. The president asked me to tell you that he went to the company for a meeting and came back relatively late at night, so he won't come back to eat. You don't have to wait for him. Also, young master and she has arrived and said that the vice president wants to invite you to go fishing. He will come to pick you up. Do you want to see him fishing? How does this plot feel? A bit familiar?" Mingxi frowned slightly and then smiled at the nanny, saying, "Thank you, Aunt Chui. I understand now. Could you please help me find out my fishing gear? I'll go prepare it." Fishing is not unfamiliar to Mingxi. When he was young, he didn't like to interact with people around him, so he often went fishing by the Han River during holidays and breaks. As for his fishing skills, harmful. Anyway, the angler will never be in Air Force. The nanny responded and went downstairs. Mingxi turned around and returned to his room. After a while, he changed his clothes, came out with a backpack, and went downstairs. Seeing Mingxi come down, Lianxi immediately stood up and smiled, "Brother, my dad." Mingxi was too lazy to listen to his nonsense, so he waved his hand and interrupted his words, saying, "I understand. Let's go." As he spoke, he took the newly cleaned fishing gear bag from the nanny's hand. I opened it and took a look. The fishing hooks were all rusty. In addition, the shelf life of fishing lines and rods is only about 5 years, but how long has it been since he went fishing in the Han River? After returning to China in 2005, he never used these fishing tools again. It has been 11 years now. 11 years, time passes quite quickly. After a sigh of emotion, Mingxi zipped up the fishing gear bag and returned it to the nanny, saying, "Forget it, let's put it away. I'll go buy a new one later." "No need, brother. I have prepared the fishing gear and bait for you. Okay, let's go. Thank you for the 1,500 starting coins awarded by the magnet, and thank you for the 100 starting coins awarded by the silent past. Thank you." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. BLACKPINK, request for follow. Up reading, request for tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. BLACKPINK, request for follow. Up reading, request for tickets. On the afternoon of July in the scorching summer of the Han River, the scorching sun is unbearable. The 4 members of BLACKPINK stood on the yacht deck under the big sun, posing with various poses and taking photos. They laughed on the surface, but their hearts were filled with excitement. I don't know what the company was thinking, but suddenly they wanted to take an extra set of posters for them, and they had to choose such a hot afternoon to come up to the Han River to take pictures. Let's take photos, can't we take photos inside the cabin? It has to be on the deck, not to mention the air conditioning. There's not even anything that can provide shade, and the sun is killing people. But what can they do for work and to make a debut? You have to endure the heat to death. Think about it carefully, the four of them. Park Choying worked as a trainee for 4 years, Kim Ji-soo and Kim Jin worked for 5 years, and Lisa worked for 6 years. How much heart and sweat did she put in during this period? How much injustice have you suffered? Finally, I will debut next month, and my long-cherished wish is about to come true. Therefore, no matter how uncomfortable it may be, I have to endure it and make no mistakes. Compared to the hardships we have experienced before, being exposed to the sun for a while doesn't seem like much. Although this moment has been going on for half an hour. Alright, this group is over. Come and rest for a while and have some water. The photographer spoke up, and the 4 little girls breathed a sigh of relief. Then they quickly ran to the entrance of the cabin, reached under the sunshade, took the water cup handed by the agent or assistant, and said, "Tons, tons, tons. I filled my stomach with ice water. Who it's alive again. It would be great if they had an ice cream at this time, but unfortunately, the calories in the ice cream are too high for them to enjoy." At this moment, the photographer spoke again. Come on, make up, rest for 10 minutes, prepare for the next group." 10 minutes. The 4 women looked at each other and let out a wail, but it was just in their hearts. There's no way, as newcomers who haven't debuted yet, they don't have much status and dare not express their dissatisfaction. Fortunately, at this moment, their agent Bao Jing spoke up and said to the photographer, "Xinhan, the weather is too hot. Look at Jishio, her hair is soaked in sweat. Let the children rest for a little longer. 20 minutes, it won't delay anything." Upon hearing these words, Jin Jishio and the other 4 people's eyes lit up and they immediately looked at the photographer with anticipation. Sizzle sizzle sizzle. Faced with these 4 small sizzles, the photographer hesitated for a few seconds. After a few seconds, he nodded and said, "Okay, just 20 minutes." Yeah. The 4 women immediately stood up excitedly and applauded to celebrate, then happily bowed to the photographer and agent, saying, "Thank you Xinhan Oba. Thank you Bao Jing Oba." These 4 beautiful girls are lively and lovely, and the faces of the people around them unconsciously show ant-like smiles. Alright, sit down quickly." As he spoke, the agent handed the small electric fan he used to cool down to Jin Jishio and said, "They all have short sleeves on their bodies, only you have long sleeves. It's too hot, blow it out quickly." Jin Jishio quickly took it and gratefully said, "Thank you, Bao Jing Europa." "You're welcome, take a break." Jin Jishio obediently sat down and aimed the fan at her face. A refreshing breeze blew by, and she closed her eyes in pleasure. Greater than or equal to less than or equal to, cool. Upon seeing this, Park Choying and the other 3 looked at each other and immediately looked at their agent with a particularly understanding and coquettish expression. "Bao Jing Oba, we also want it. No matter how beautiful a beauty is, she watches and watches all day long, and over time, she becomes mediocre." Bao Jing has been watching them for several years, just acting coquettishly. He was not moved at all and said calmly, "I wasn't prepared this time, let's do it next time." Oh, looking at the small appearance of the 3 younger sisters Wei Chu Baba, Jin Jishio took a small mahjong and placed it opposite him. He then pointed the fan towards him and placed it on the mahjong. He said to the 3 of them, come on, let's blow together." "Thank you, Ernie." Greater than or equal to less than or equal to, the 3 of them immediately approached and, as a gesture of gratitude, Park Choying hugged Kim Ji-soo and pouted, "Come on, kiss me." Rogue. Ha ha ha. After a commotion, the 4 of them sat down honestly to blow some air. Although it was quite hot, the wind from the electric fans was still quite cool because it was on the river. If you don't work and just sit like this, it's actually quite good. The river flows slowly, blowing a river breeze, and a group of seagulls occasionally fly in groups in the sky. No mistake, it's really a seagull. As for why seagulls appear on the Han River in Seoul, it's probably because this peninsula is not very wide, and both sides are not far from the sea. Seagulls search for food while flying along the Han River. When tired from flying, it landed on the railing of the bridge, on the top of the yacht, and on the trees on the shore. Hey! Park Kaiying was looking at the seagulls, but when she looked at them, she found something interesting. Then she pointed to the sisters and said, "Look, that man is so strange." Everyone around looked in the direction she pointed, and it turned out that two people appeared on the shore fishing in the shade under the tree, one in the middle and one green. It's not strange, but what's strange is that the young man actually wears a helmet on his head. What is this? A new type of mental illness. Isn't it hot? They didn't know that there were rumors in the martial arts world that fishing without wearing a helmet would lead to death. "I don't believe you," asked Big D. "That guy, he died a miserable death." Everyone had everything on their minds, and Jin Jishio quickly pressed Park Choi-ying's hand and said, "Don't point, being seen will make people unhappy." At this moment, Li Mingxi looked over and the two of them exchanged a glance. Two people, one on the shore and the other on the boat, are about 50 meters apart. Jin Jishio. Wearing a helmet while fishing. Li Mingxi. Wearing long sleeves during the dog days. Isn't it hot? Times two. Both of them felt that there was something wrong with each other's appointment, and then Jin Jishio turned around and chatted with the sisters. Li Mingxi stared at her again for a while. Seeing this, Li Zirong joked on the side, "What's wrong? It's love at first sight." Li Mingxi regained his senses and said, "No, it just looks a bit familiar to me, as if I've seen it somewhere before." "Oh. Do you want to say hello then?" Li Mingxi shook his head and said, "There's no need, let's get down to business." "Second uncle, you called me here not just to invite me to go fishing, right?" Li Zirong nodded and gently swung the fishing rod to throw the hook out. With a thud, the hook fell into the water. He turned his head to look into Li Mingxi's eyes and said sternly, "Mingxi, go home and take over. Thank you for the 100 yuan starting point reward given by the fallen people of the Fallen Mountain." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Am I going? Female. Seeking follow-up reading, requesting tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Am I going? Female. Seeking follow-up reading, requesting tickets. Big Brother's health is getting worse and worse. If one day he doesn't work out and you don't take over, then our Xinhan group will be in disarray. Those people won't accept me. The future of Xinhan group still depends on you young people. You are young and have received higher education. You have also run a colorful kimchi factory in China, which shows that you have the ability. Come back and take over, I will definitely fully support you. New Han Group is your father's lifelong effort, can you bear to watch it go extinct? Li Zirong could be said to have been patient and advised Li Mingxi for over half an hour, but Li Mingxi remained unmoved. Upon seeing this, Li Zirong let out a long sigh and put away his fishing rod, standing up with a bucket in hand. Think about it again, I'll leave first. Li Mingxi glanced at his fish bucket and politely smiled at him, saying, "Uncle, take your time." Sigh. After sighing again, Li Zirong walked away with a helpless expression on his face. Handed over the fishing gear and bucket to his subordinates, and Li Zirong got on the car. Li Mingxi couldn't wait to ask, "Dad, how are you? Has he agreed to take over?" Li Zirong's face darkened and he shook his head slightly. "No," he said. Li Mingxi's face lit up and he said, "This is a good thing." Li Zirong sneered and said, "Good news. Don't be too happy too early. Do you think you will tell me the truth?" What do you think he means by wearing a helmet? Not only did he tell me openly that he didn't believe me, but he also suspected that I would take action against him. Do you really think I haven't watched The Underworld? What a special thing. And even if he's telling the truth, do you think your uncle can do it this way? Li Jianrong is determined to let Li Mingxi take over, as the senior management of Xinhan Group knows. Can you just give up power like this? Both Li Zirong and his son were unwilling to accept it. How about? What if something unexpected happens to him? Looking at his son's eager expression, Li Zirong immediately glared at him and said sternly, "Don't die. A sick tiger is also a tiger. If you dare to harm his offspring, he can take your life." "Yes, I understand." Li Yinxi quickly lowered his head, and a hint of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. Li Jianrong left, and Li Mingxi couldn't help but feel a bit like cursing the street. Interestingly, with the same fishing rod and bait, after more than half an hour, Li Zirong caught 3 fish, 1 zebrafish, 2 large-mouthed bass, and the smallest one weighed 2 pounds. But he didn't even catch a single fish scale here. Is there any reason behind this? Li Mingxi took off his helmet and glanced at the time. It wasn't 4 o'clock yet, and it was already dark. Keep fishing, I don't believe I can't catch it. In the blink of an eye, time arrived at 8 p.m. Oh my goodness. 5 hours have passed and finally it has opened. A big-mouthed bass weighing over 3 pounds. Holding this fish, Li Mingxi's eyes were filled with tears. Take advantage of your luck and take another shot. Anyway, his father won't be at home for dinner tonight, so he doesn't have to rush home. There's plenty of time. Luck did indeed come, and after 2 hours, his fish bucket was full. 3 big-mouthed bass, 2 spotted fish, and 1 carp. He released the carp, but it's not that he doesn't dislike it. The main reason is that the big-mouthed bass and zebrafish are both carnivorous fish. If he didn't release the carp, he wouldn't have to wait until home. The carp would have entered the stomachs of those 5 fish. The fish bucket is full, and it's almost time to go home. Just as he was about to stand up, he heard the faint sound of rustling footsteps behind him. He quickly stood up and turned around, and indeed saw 3 black shadows 5 or 6 meters away from him, standing around 1.8 meters tall and quite burly. Who sent it? Li Zirong. He didn't act so harshly, did he? Is it Li Yinxi? What kind of people are you? The 3 of them wanted to sneak over and kick Li Mingxi into the river while he wasn't paying attention, feeling guilty. Li Mingxi suddenly turned around and startled them, but then they thought, with so many people here, is there anything to be afraid of? Immediately, the leader signaled to the other 2 people to surround Li Mingxi and sneered at him, "Kid, you can jump down on your own, don't make us trouble." Jumping into the river. Is it so much fun? Are you going to die as soon as you come up? Li Mingxi grabbed the fishing rod tightly and looked at the 3 people with caution. His right foot secretly hooked onto the strap of the fishing gear bag, and on the surface, he pretended to be nervous and asked, Do you have a gun?" Guns. The 3 of them were taken aback, and then the leader took out something from his back and continued to sneer, "There's no gun. Do you think this is okay?" "What?" "A dagger about 10 centimeters long. Can we jump now?" "Sure. I'll dance with you, Grandpa." Since the other party has a murder weapon, Li Mingxi cannot force himself. It's dark and hard to see clearly, and if he gets hit, he could easily die young. But it was also impossible to capture without restraint, so he suddenly exploded. First, he threw the fishing rod as a javelin towards the leader, then kicked the helmet and fishing gear bag on the ground towards the left side of the storefront, and finally grabbed the fish bucket and threw it towards the right side. My fish! What a fish it took 7 hours to catch. While the 3 of them were dodging, he didn't care about his discomfort anymore and turned around to run. 3 people dodge and then chase. Stop. Don't run. Don't run. Fools don't run away. Just run to the street and you'll be saved. By the Han River, it is said to be very close to the streets, but the places close to the streets are noisy and not suitable for fishing. The places suitable for fishing are in the relatively sparsely populated sections of the river. Play with your life. While running, he also took out his phone and called Pei Zhuxuan. I was being chased and chopped by the XXX River. Come and save me. After finishing the phone call, he continued to race towards the shore and tried to stop a taxi. There are taxis, but the three behind him are relentlessly chasing after him, not giving him a chance to take a taxi at all. This won't work. We need to find a place with complex road conditions so that we can easily get rid of those three. Running across the street, there are many small alleys on the other side, and the road conditions inside must be complex. Fortunately, he pays special attention to exercise and health preservation in his lifetime, otherwise he might not be able to escape those three killers. Watching him sneak into the alley, the three assassins behind him were almost crying. How could this brat run so fast? Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and chase after him. If you catch up, beat him up first and then throw him into the river. We won't let him out for less than half an hour. Half an hour. At least 1 hour. Chase. The alleyway was well connected, and Mingxi circled around in it. He quickly got rid of the three assassins and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Breathing, let's take a break. Bang. Oh my God. Running to an intersection, Mingxi was about to stop and rest when he collided with a small boy. Mingxi didn't pay attention and was bumped into his arms by a small man. He fell back and instinctively hugged the little one, and then both of them collapsed together. With a thud, Mingxi fell to the ground and held the small boy in his arms, taking a cold breath in pain. He couldn't help but say, "Hush brother, you should be careful. How could you hit someone?" The small boy lay motionless and silent on top of him, his whole body stiffened. Seeing this, Mingxi had a bad premonition. I'll go. Where are you touching porcelain? Speak up. As soon as the words fell, the small boy rubbed against it and stood aside. As long as it's okay, Mingxi breathed a sigh of relief and then got up from the ground with no good breathing. You're not a big guy, you're not weak. You've done a good job with your chest muscles and they're quite elastic, he said. Ah. Don't go too far. What the hell am I, female? Everyone, please cast some votes. It's best to have a monthly ticket, but if not, you can also recommend a ticket. Thank you. Hand heart gesture also, guess who this woman is? Omega, end of this chapter. Chapter 10. Adventures in the Face of Youth, Seeking Reading in Tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Adventures in the Face of Youth, Seeking Reading in Tickets. Lin Yuner really didn't expect to have such bad luck today. As the facade of her teenage years, she attended a silly family concert at Neon a few days ago. There were 2 concerts in total, and after the concert, she played with her teammates in Tokyo for 2 more days before returning tonight. As for why she chose tonight, because she has work tomorrow and has to come back today, but she wants to play more in Tokyo for a while, so she took the evening flight. They went to a Neon concert, which was an open itinerary. Fans all know that in order to prevent being disturbed by paparazzi or illegitimate meals, she specially changed into a men's hip-hop outfit before returning this time. Well, it's not really intentional. It's mainly because she bought a hip-hop outfit on impulse while shopping and took the opportunity to try it on. A wide black printed short-sleeve T-shirt on the upper body, a wide casual sports pants with white stripes on the lower body, and a pair of white sports shoes on the feet. Comb a bun, wear a duckbill cap to cover your hair, and finally have a pair of black sunglasses. In Jean Taeyeon's words, she's just a hip-hop prince, so handsome. She also feels that her outfit is quite handsome, but the key is not easy to recognize. No one recognized her on the plane, and no one recognized her at the airports on either side. However, she never expected that because she was driving halfway home, she became hungry and went to the roadside store to buy some food, and then she was recognized by someone. Because she spoke at checkout. Dressed up quite well, revealing it with just one mouth. Is this the top-tier annoyance? Sigh. After settling the accounts, she felt like someone was following her behind. So she wanted to quickly get back into the car. Upon seeing this, the man and woman behind suddenly ran over and blocked her car door. It's over. At this moment, Lin Yuner knew that she must have been exposed. It's not a big deal if it's exposed, it's just a group photo or signature. But to her surprise, the man and woman who recognized her were actually illegitimate. They not only had to take a photo and sign, but also asked her some privacy-related questions, and even hugged her. Scared enough for her, she turned her head and ran while those two people were not paying attention, and they chased after her. The pursuit was quite tight, and there were not many people around her who could ask for help. So Lin Yuner had the same idea as Mingxi, calling her agent for help while running into the alley to get rid of her illegitimate life. As a result, she couldn't get through to the phone, but the people in the alley did help her get rid of her illegitimate child. After running desperately for a while, there was no movement behind her. She was just looking back and preparing to stop to rest when suddenly she bumped into someone and fell while being held by them. The most infuriating thing is that she was the man she bumped into head-on, but when she fell, she lay in the man's arms. Lying in your arms is not a big deal. That man actually hugged her. It's okay to be hugged. But the man's hands were right on her chest muscles. The key is that he even pinched it. After pinching it, still call her brother. Brother. Do you still want to insult people after taking advantage? Is it a person? Ah. Is it a person? At that time, Lin Yuner wanted this man to know what it meant to be violent and hurt someone. But when she thought about her identity as an artist and for her future, she endured it. Think about it again, it seems like I knocked someone down while running without looking at the road, and my attire is also confusing. It's your own fault, you can't blame others. Yes, it's like this, so endure it. Lin Yuner was conflicted in her heart, and in the end, she not only planned to endure it, but also planned to apologize before leaving. But at this moment, Mingxi rubbed his injured arm off the ground and got up, then said to Lin Yuner in a bad mood, "You little boy, you're not very tall, and your strength is not small. You're thin like a hemp pole, and your chest muscles are quite elastic. How did you practice it? Can this be tolerated? Ah. Can this be tolerated? Ah. Don't go too far." Lin Yuner couldn't resist, but she didn't dare to take action. She just shouted at Mingxi in a fit of anger. Mingxi was surprised and said, "What the hell am I, female?" Lin Yuner glared at Mingxi, turned around and was about to leave. Then she heard a surprised voice coming from in front of her. "Yuner is over here. Hurry up. Are you pursuing me through illegitimate means?" Lin Yuner quickly turned around and was about to run over Mingxi. Then three black shadows appeared at the intersection ahead. "He's over here. Go. It's broken. There are wolves in front and tigers behind. Run quickly." Hey, before Lin Yuner could react, Mingxi grabbed her hand and ran towards the nearby alley with her. At this point, Lin Yuner couldn't care too much, it was important to escape. The two of them ran together, but the speed was a bit slow. The illegitimate was thrown away, but the three assassins were not thrown away. With 7 twists and turns, Mingxi pulled Lin Yuner out of the alley and returned to the street. He still had to run, but Lin Yuner quickly grabbed him and bent over, panting uncontrollably. She pointed to her car not far away and said, "Go. Go over there, get in the car and run. Run. Hey. You let me down." Watching her gasping for breath, Mingxi immediately carried her on his shoulder and turned around to charge towards the car. Lin Yuner struggled for a while and quickly gave up. She was really weak, so accept her fate. With the last bit of strength, I took out the car key from my pocket and pressed it. Didi. The car was unlocked, and Li Mingxi also ran to the front of the car. He opened the passenger seat and stuffed it in for Lin Yuner. He then took the car key, closed the door, ran to the driver's seat, got in, started, and stepped on the accelerator. It's safe. Lin Yuner also breathed a sigh of relief, and then saw from the rearview mirror that the three strong men had actually grabbed a car and chased after them. Someone may be going to a roadside store to buy something, but as soon as they stopped, they were pulled down by those three assassins. Quick, fast, fast. They're catching up. Well, I saw it. Lin Yuner was very flustered, but compared to Li Mingxi, he was very calm. In less than 5 minutes, Li Mingxi threw away the car behind him. Lin Yuner finally felt at ease next to her, took a deep breath, and suddenly reacted, no. Those three people are chasing you, right? Who are you? Faced with Lin Yuner's wary gaze, Li Mingxi hesitated for a moment and then explained awkwardly, my second uncle gambled and owed him a lot of debt. He ran away, and the creditors couldn't find him, so they came to me. If I didn't have money to pay back, they chased after me and wanted to hit me. Fortunately, I met you, otherwise I might not have been able to run away. As he spoke, he looked at Lin Yuner with a somewhat grateful expression. Second uncle. Lin Yuner looked at him suspiciously, his expression didn't seem like he was lying, but why didn't it sound like the truth? The second uncle you're talking about, shouldn't it be you? Li Mingxi quickly denied, of course not. Do you think I'm a gambler? It's very possible that knowing a person's face is not knowing their heart. After all, which gambler would write the word gambler on their face? Li Mingxi was speechless and could only nod helplessly, then ask in reverse, what about you? Why are you being chased? Lin Yuner was taken aback and quickly touched her face. Her sunglasses had already fallen off. This made her feel a bit strange. You don't know me. Lin Yi frowned slightly and said, are you a celebrity? That's not true, Lin Yuner immediately denied. Although she didn't understand why the young man next to her didn't even recognize her, the face of the National Girls' Troupe during her teenage years, she was happy to hide her identity since the other party didn't know her, saving her from being manipulated by her identity and what happened tonight. Seeing her deny, Li Mingxi said strangely, then why do I need to know you? Lin Yuner was momentarily lost in words, feeling a bit guilty. She quickly came up with an excuse to explain, what I mean is, since we don't know each other, can you care why I'm being chased? Her tone was a bit aggressive, to cover up her guilt. Li Mingxi has now confirmed that the beautiful woman next to her is definitely a celebrity. She chuckled inwardly and asked, so you're still asking me? Of course I have the right to ask you, you're driving my car now. If it weren't for my car, did you run tonight? Li Zhiqi is strong. Li Mingxi had no way to refute, so he could only nod and say, okay, thank you. Humph! After winning, Lin Yuner let out a proud snort and was about to ask Li Mingxi when he would get off the car when he saw that his elbow was scratched and the sleeves of his T-shirt were all dyed red. You don't have to ask Lin Yuner, she knows that this must have been Li Mingxi who fell to the ground and got scratched after she knocked him down before. She suddenly felt that this person's temper seemed quite good. Turn right at the intersection ahead and get on the elevated bridge. What? If you don't listen to me, get off the car now. Okay. Thank you very much for Azer's reward of 100 starting coins and the silent passing 10,000 rewards. The first 10,000 rewards of this book have been born. Will the leader still be far away? Thank you very much. Thank you for your support. There will be additional rewards, and we will make changes together when we put them on the shelves. End of this chapter.